Today we're going to be making a delicious Thanksgiving meal for under $40. Hey y'all, I'm Jen. Welcome back. Today is an exciting day. I made an entire Thanksgiving spread for my family for under 40 bucks. And let me just tell you, everything was delicious. Some of y'all might remember I did one of these videos a couple years back, and I still get views on that video. And I've had a few comments lately saying, Jen, try to make another one. Try to see what you can do with these prices in the grocery store. So I thought I would do just that. I thought it'd be fun to challenge myself. But in this year's video, I really wanted to make these recipes more like my own, a little bit closer to my actual style of cooking instead of just making whatever I could do for a certain amount of money. So I hope today this video brings you some inspiration. I hope that if you're on a budget this year, you can see that you can really make an awesome Thanksgiving meal without having to stress. And yes, I made a water pie. You heard that correctly. Y'all stay tuned and make sure you find out how that turns out. But let's get into this budget Thanksgiving meal. All right, y'all, we're starting with dessert because this is gonna have to have a few hours to set up. So like I said, we're making a water pie, y'all. So I'm just using a deep dish pre-made pie crust, and I'm pouring in none other than some water. But we are gonna add a few other ingredients to this. You will need some pantry ingredients, just a little bit of flour, only about 3 tablespoons. And then I did have room in my budget for a bag of sugar. So we're adding 1 cup of sugar, and we're just gonna whisk all that until it's nice and combined. Then we're gonna bring back over that pie crust with the water, and you just wanna sprinkle all of this mixture into your pie crust. And every recipe that I saw said, do not stir this part. And if you are wondering why in the world am I making a water pie of all things, well, I was trying to think of a budget dessert, and this one just popped into my brain. And after doing a little bit of research, this actually came from the Great Depression. So I mean, all you really need is a pie crust, and you probably have everything else. We also add in some vanilla extract and then just a few pats of butter. All of this I bought with my $39 minus the vanilla. That's a pantry staple. I'm gonna bake this in the oven for a little bit, and then you reduce the heat. I cover mine very lightly with tinfoil just to keep that crust from over browning, and you will see that it actually looks and smells delicious. It's going into the fridge to set up. Next, we're going to start on an oven roasted whole chicken. And I decided to do chicken this year. In my last budget Thanksgiving, we did some turkey breast. I will also link that video down below. But let me just tell y'all, this chicken, oh my gosh, I honestly cannot wait to make it again. So I just have my little chicken here. I rinsed it off, just make sure, you know, it was nice and neat and clean. And then you really want to pat it dry with some paper towels the best that you can. I'm using my iron skillet today, but you can use pretty much any pan, a roasting pan or just a regular pan, whatever you have. I'm also taking some more butter, and I'm gonna rub it all over the outside. I'm gonna even get some up under the skin. Again, I bought 4 sticks of butter with my budget. So if you're wondering how I afforded all this butter, it was in my budget, okay? And then next, I am gonna use a couple tablespoons of olive oil that I did already have here, but you don't have to do that. If you have some, just rub it all over the outside, but if you don't, the butter will be fine. So next, I'm gonna go in with my seasonings. I'm gonna use some anti-no-nos. That just has salt, pepper, garlic, and onion. I'm gonna sprinkle that all over my chicken here. And then I'm also going in with some lemon pepper seasoning. And I love this because lemon and pepper goes perfectly with chicken, and it also has a little bit of celery in there, which I think is perfect again for chicken, but especially for Thanksgiving. And then one more seasoning, I added a little bit of paprika. That's just gonna deepen this color of the chicken and of the broth that we're gonna baste it with. It's going to be beautiful, and y'all just wait to see how this chicken comes out. My kids ate seconds and thirds, and they cannot wait for me to make it again as well. And this chicken is going into the oven at 425 for about 90 minutes. You may need to add 15 or 20 more. You want your breast to be 165 degrees, and I did go in and baste it maybe 3, maybe 4 times because we do not want dry chicken, and let me tell y'all, it was not. So while our chicken is in the oven, let's start on some of our sides. And you gotta have some dressing on Thanksgiving, some cornbread dressing here in the South. So I picked up one of these little dollar bags of the Martha White buttermilk cornbread mix because all you have to do is add water or milk. I actually just added water to mine, so you don't have to have any additional ingredients. I'm also using a pack of the stuffing mix, a $1 thing of chicken broth, and then I found that mirepoix, which I'll tell you more about here in just a second. But first, we do have to bake our cornbread, so I'm just adding that to a bowl, adding water like I said, and this is going to go into the oven and bake until it is nice and brown. You just follow the package directions for this part. So while I was at the store yesterday, I was looking. I really love celery and onion in my dressing. They didn't even have any celery, and I thought about doing frozen onion, but honestly, this was, I think it was right at $2. So by the time I even bought celery and onion, I'm close to that anyway. This also has a little bit of carrot in there. It's a mirepoix, so it's carrot, celery, and onion. But I figured if I'm on a budget, that carrot is not going to do anything but add a little bit more flavor to my dish. So I am just sauteing my butter right here, and then I'm going to saute these until they get a little bit soft. This is going to be so good in our cornbread dressing. Alright, so while our mirepoix is back there sauteing, I have our cornbread that we baked up. I have it in here. You just want to crumble that up. Doesn't have to be all the way in crumbs, just in small pieces. Oops, just in small pieces. Next, I'm bringing back over that chicken stuffing mix. We're just going to add the dry mix right in here with our cornbread breadcrumbs. And a box of this stuffing mix is actually really good, especially if you don't have a lot of seasonings on hand. This has really got a lot of seasonings in here for you. And we are going to use that chicken broth that I showed y'all. But if you just had water, honestly, it would still make a good enough dressing. And with that mirepoix back there, you could just add a little bit more water and butter to that, and it would make its own liquid. You'd pretty much have a vegetable broth, which you could also add to this as well. Alright, so our veggies are nice and sauteed. We're going to add those in. And now we're going to bring over our chicken broth. Like I said, if you don't have chicken broth, you can use water. But this is just kind of where you have to kind of go by the feeling of it. You definitely want it to be moist. You don't want this to be dry, but you also don't want it to be too moist either. And I said in my last Thanksgiving recipe video, I don't remember where I heard this from, but you want your dressing or your stuffing to have the consistency of kind of a moist oatmeal. So that's kind of something to go by. All right, I think that looks pretty good. I have some extra chicken broth. I think I know what I'm gonna do with that. I'm gonna grab my dish. I always get questions on these dishes when I bake with them, and these are Temptations from QVC. All right, we're just gonna get our stuffing into our dish. And I don't know if y'all can tell this, but this is a pretty big dish. And just by adding that little $1 packet of cornbread, of course we added the celery and everything, but we added that to that box of stuffing, it makes it stretch a whole lot further. So if you can add those couple of things, definitely give that a try. Alright, next up I have a little twist on our green bean dish. I've made green bean casserole so many times, so I kind of wanted to switch it up today. So we're going to be making these caramelized bacon green bean bundles. And I'm just starting by blanching some fresh green beans that I cleaned and trimmed the ends up. And to blanch them, you just add them to some boiling water for anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. And then you just pop those into some ice water to stop the cooking process. And it also keeps your green beans that really beautiful bright green color. So once I have those all nice and cool, I'm going to bring over a pack of bacon, and I went ahead and sliced it in half. And so next you take about 6 or 7 green beans, wrap in a half a piece of bacon, and then just place in your dish. And I'm going to continue doing this until I've used up all of my green beans. I will say I didn't even use all of this bacon. This was only a half a pack right here. I still had the other half over on the counter, so I could definitely add the rest of that bacon to my mashed potatoes or something like that. So next I have a small bowl here. I'm going to add some brown sugar to this. I bought a whole bag of brown sugar for my budget. I'm also going to add a little garlic powder. I don't think I showed that in this clip. And then I'm going to add a little bit of melted butter. I'm just going to give that a stir, and then I'm going to add a little bit of this mixture on top of each of my little green bean bundles. And this recipe was actually inspired by another recipe I saw that used soy sauce, or you could even do a little bit of hoisin sauce or oyster sauce, but none of those things were in my budget. So I'm going to type out this recipe below, but I'll also link or type out the recipe that I'm going to try here eventually because it just looks so good. And let me tell y'all, this was perfect as is. This was definitely something I would make again, just like this. I did go back and pour just a little bit of water kind of around my green beans for the bottom of the pan so nothing would burn or kind of stick way too much. But this is going to go into the oven at 375 for about 45 minutes. All right, next we're going to get started on some sweet potatoes. And yes, these are sweet potatoes. Every time I say this, I always get a comment saying how these are yams. They're actually not. They're actually sweet potatoes. The yams is actually part of just the name of this company. Y'all can Google it for yourself, but I bet 99% of y'all have never even had an actual yam because they are really not sold that often here in America. Like I said, Google it. I bet you'll be surprised. But I just have this can of sweet potatoes. I'm going to dump it in my little dish, and I went back and forth whether I wanted to do like a sweet potato pie or sweet potato casserole or just candied yams. So I'm kind of going with a mixture of casserole / candied yams. I just kind of chopped up my little sweet potatoes a little bit, but I didn't quite blend them like I would a casserole. And I'm just going to sprinkle on some of that brown sugar. I did sprinkle on a little bit of cinnamon and then just placed a few pats of butter. And all this is going to do is bake for 350 for about 30 to 45 minutes until all that brown sugar and butter is all nice and melty. It creates its own little syrup, and these are just simple and delicious. I don't know about y'all, but you've probably noticed the price of potatoes in our grocery stores. They are so high. So I'm going to show you how to make boxed mashed potatoes taste a little bit more like homemade. So I'm just using the potato flakes. It's not the flavored little packets. It's just the plain old potato flakes, the ones with not a lot of additives in them. So we're going to start with about 3 cups of these, and by the way, that's not the whole box, so this would actually make a lot more. Now, to kind of moisten your potatoes, you can use just plain old water, but I had some chicken broth left from our dressing, so that is the perfect thing to add flavor to these otherwise old plain old instant mashed potatoes. So I'm just heating up that water and chicken broth in the microwave. You want it till it's about boiling hot. And that's another great thing about this recipe. It's so quick and easy, you don't even need a stove. But I'm just using a whisk to incorporate my chicken broth and kind of moisten up all these potatoes. The one thing I will say, I love to use a hand mixer on real potatoes, but if you do that with instant, it is so easy to overmix and then they become gummy. And nobody wants a thick, gummy mashed potato. We want them light and fluffy. So just use your whisk, and then we're going to add in our seasonings. I like a good bit of black pepper and also some of this Lowry's seasoned salt. But just use salt, pepper, whatever seasonings you want or whatever seasonings you have. And then we're also going to melt 1 whole stick of butter, pour that in, a few tablespoons of milk, and then next, we're not going to whisk anymore. We're just going to fold in the rest of that liquid. That's going to keep our potatoes so light and fluffy and smooth. These are actually so delicious. And the best part is it only takes about 5 minutes or so to whip these together. I'm just gonna put mine in a baking dish and pop those into the oven to keep warm until everything else is done. But you can also make these ahead of time. This is the perfect make ahead recipe. Then the next day on Thanksgiving, all you have to do is pop it in the oven with everything else. You could even add a few more pats of butter on top if you wanted to, but this could not get any more easy, and these are actually so delicious. All right, y'all, my chicken is done. We're just basting it again at the end. You see all of that beautiful, delicious broth that it makes in the pan. This chicken was so tender, fall off the bone. That flavor of the seasonings and everything was absolutely perfect. I'll be making that again just for weeknight meals. And here's the rest of our spread. Those green bean bundles were perfect. Here is that easy mashed potato recipe. I'm seriously considering doing that for real Thanksgiving. Will my family let me? We'll see. But anyway, there's that chicken right in the middle. So beautiful. Back there's that water pie. And don't y'all worry, we're going to do a taste test here in just a second. And over here we have our stuffing. Of course, I have to have a little bit of cranberry sauce with my Thanksgiving meal. Here are those candied yams, candied sweet potatoes. And this meal was absolutely perfect. I mean, I would be proud to serve this to anybody, and I will say this will easily feed 6 people. Our family of 4 had plenty to eat, and we even had enough leftovers for my husband to take to work today. So here was my plate. Does that not look delicious or what? Y'all have to let me know how you think we did, but let's taste that water pie, y'all. Y'all scared? Here we go. All right. Let's cut into this water pie, y'all. My family is not excited about it. I ain't gonna lie to you. Okay, it's not gonna stay together. Very good. It's been in the fridge, trying to set up.
And you stuck in the freezer.
I put it in the freezer for a little bit. Oh my gosh.
I can tell you, it looks like refried beans.
It don't look that good.
Looks like refried beans pie.
There's many other desserts. I'll link some of my actual good desserts. Like some mashed potatoes. Watch it be good. Watch it be delicious.
All right, you gotta try it first. Let me know.
Okay, let me get a fork. I'm scared, honestly.
What you think?
It's actually delicious. Y'all, don't look at me or this mess back here. It's actually delicious. It tastes like sugar cookie with a buttery crust. It tastes like sugar cookie filling with a buttery crust. It's good. There is that water pie. Is it the best pie I've ever made? No. But is it edible and good? Yes, it actually is. I think the perfect description of it, the flavor is sugar cookie. But the way I've been describing it to my family before I made it this week, it's like a pecan pie. You know, the gel part of pecan pie, the caro syrup layer without pecans. So it's like pecan pie without the pecans. That's exactly what it tastes like. Not bad. I think it's fun. Even if y'all just want to make it for fun to try, then, you know, it might be something fun for you and your kids. Okay, water pie out. If you loved today's video, y'all, I would love it if you watched this video on the screen. I think you will really love it. We're in Thanksgiving mode over here, all the holiday planning. It makes me so excited. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you all are having an amazing week so far, and I'll see you guys real soon in the next one. Bye, y'all.